first thing I did was to find a piece of wood to go on top of the dash. I know a lot of people cut the top of their dash off and place a piece of wood on, but I had a different idea that enabled me not to cut into my dash. So the first thing I did was buy a piece of wood. This piece of wood was meant for window sills, I think. Got a nice big chunky thick bit of wood. So yeah, first thing I did was buy the piece of wood and start planning to shape it. Okay, there you can see the shape I've done. I cut a little piece out for the where the instrument cluster is. I also cut another piece out on the left so I could still get my hand in and out of the little compartment. I also cut the bottom of the piece of wood to take the shape of the dash so it would sit level. What I noticed then was, if you look from the front of the van on the outside, on the either end you can actually see a slight gap underneath. But I planned for this all along, so my idea is in the next shot. Okay, this is my idea. What I'd basically done was I got a piece of leather, I stapled it all the way along underneath the piece of wood so you wouldn't be able to see the join. What I missed out is as well, I also stained the piece of wood with browning wax. Basically, I knew I was painting my dashboard red, but I didn't want to have that red reflecting in the glass when I was driving, so I wanted the top of it to be a bit mute. So what I did then was I cut the shape of the leather to the shape of the dashboard, cut 2 vent holes in it so they could just slide through, and then I attached it to the dash, and this is the result. As you can see here, it actually works really well. It fits perfectly. From the front, which you'll probably see in later pictures, there's no gap from the piece of wood to the dash. And to be fair, if you didn't know that was a piece of leather, you wouldn't really pay it much attention. Right, and then it was time to start painting the dash. I used a paint by a company called Frenchic. This is the Al Fresco range, and what this does is it dries so hard that it actually becomes like a plastic. And all I did was this with a brush. There's no brush marks in it at all because it dries without brush marks. This stuff's brilliant. Basically, I started masking up the bits I wanted to mask up, and I just started painting, just got on with it. As you can see here, I've put the piece of wood back on as the paint has dried, put it all back together. It started looking nice, and then I thought to myself, right, I need to get on with the door cards to match. And there we go. Took the door cards off, took them indoors, started painting them up, giving them a good few coats, make sure they were done. Then I decided to turn my attention to doing the window trim, the bit that goes up the sides of the windscreen, to make that tie in with the dashboard and the door cards. I also did the vents that go in the dashboard. It then occurred to me that my sun visors were wrapped in an old fabric that didn't match the interior whatsoever, so I had to tear the fabric off my old sun visors, and then I came up with a little idea of a little design to do on the sun visors, and this is what I did. As you can see, I used a stencil that I just printed off of my computer that I got off of Google, and just did some flames. Made it look a bit ratty. I think it looks quite good. Then I decided, after all that, I needed a decent steering wheel that was going to match the wood interior and the different wood touches in there. So I managed to source myself off a really good friend of mine a old school wooden steering wheel from a classic Beetle that I had to buy a T4 Boss kit for, and I fitted it on the van. This is how it turned out. As you can see, I think this steering wheel works quite well with this interior. As you can see, you got all. It's all red now. I kept the old original leather that I did years ago. This is actually patchwork leather that I did years ago. Come down here, you've got the dash, you've got the wood that goes all the way along. You've got the leather piece down here that flows to the front, which hides the gap. All in all, I'm loving it. You got me not rear view mirrors. You got me sun visors with the flames. There we go. Oh, don't forget my new speakers that I had put in. There we have it.